We have our Indigenous knowledge that the world is going to change. And from your ancestors and communities and what you've learned, what advice do you have of us or guidance do you have for us about these coming changes and how to be ready for them based on our traditional prophecies?
Okay, let's start off with where I live. I'm from Barrow. And when I was these little kids' age, when I was under 10, the edge of the ocean was 3/4 of a mile straight out into where the ocean is now.
Okay.
The airport, where our airport is, the terminal, that was a mile above town, and that's where Barrow used to get their drinking water. But now it's filled up with sand, and it's no longer a lake, and it's part of the runway in Barrow. That's from when I was small. And hunting, I do a lot of hunting in the ocean. The ice is always there, most of the summer. Now you don't see it, not even in the beginning of summer. It's over a month and a half to 2 months late, coming, and it goes out pretty much the same amount of time earlier. In the beginning of the 50s, mid 50s, I had an uncle who was a Navy pilot, and they were studying the magnetic north versus true north, see what it was going on. And at that time, when he started his, documenting magnetic north and true north, it was less than 70 miles from true north, the magnetic north was. Today, now, it is on one of the Canadian northeastern Arctic islands, over 800 miles to the south. That's how far the magnetic north has rolled over that much. The islands and the cliffs on the banks, you used to be able to walk into a tunnel sometimes up to a quarter mile inside, where the underground rivers used to be. They've all disappeared because they melted and collapsed. And permafrost that used to thaw 3 to 4 inches for the whole summer thaw, now the thaw zone is over 10 feet now. The surf from the surface to the bottom of the thaw zone is now over 10 feet. And one time I found some ship's log, the first sailing boat that came up north. They took 3 locations and took longitude and latitude readings with sextant. I went to those same places. I had to buy a sextant, learn how to use it to see how far the location had gotten. 1876, 1875, up until around the beginning of the 1960s. The tip of the land I was standing at was Point Barrow, 11 miles north of Barrow. I couldn't get my readings to go. I was always 1 mile to the south. All my readings were 1 mile to the south in Barrow, 50 miles down the coast, going west. It was a mile in, and another 100 miles further down west, it was still a mile in. The shoreline had receded a mile in about 100 years. The geese, they left a month and a half late this year. And they're still hanging around here. They should be gone south from here to here in Fairbanks. This place used to be 60 and 70 below when I went to college in the beginning of the 70s. I don't think it even is 40 below today. The fish in the ocean, the Norwegians call a wolf fish. It's a prehistoric fish, and you can buy that in the commercial grocery stores in Norway. We're catching that kind of fish at the Canadian border. That's over 900 miles to the west. The north, magnetic north, and the true north, the magnetic north has rolled over 700 to 800 miles compared to what in my lifetime, and I'm 69. That's over 700 miles of rolling over. The glaciers I used to, in the beginning of the 70s, I worked as a geologist for the state. And I went through a lot of glaciers. Those glaciers do not exist anymore now. I'm talking about the interior, I'm talking about Mount McKinley, I'm talking about southeast and southwest of Alaska. Glaciers are gone. We got a place we call Inupiaq. It's 150 miles southeast of Barrow on the Colville River. We call that place Inupiaq. Inupiaq is the name what we call our skin boats we go whaling with. Our mode of means of travel. And one spring, they struck a whale and the whale started twisting and wrapped the line around the skin boat and the whale, and the whole crew drowned. That place is 150 miles to the south of my town. In the beginning of the 50s, when the Navy was exploring Naval Petroleum Reserve Number 4, that story came up, and the oil company, Standard Oil of New Jersey, I think it was, said, you're just making up stories. So they took that oil company to the location to Inupiaq and said, okay, from right here, we go 170 feet inside this hill, go from the top, go down 350 feet, you'll find the frame and the bones and the frames of that whale and the frames of the skin boat. They dug and they found it. Now, Standard Oil of New Jersey has it wherever they store their museums. That's where this town of mine, Barrow, moved the last time the last ice age melted. So how are we doing?
Good. Are you feeling okay?
Oh, I'm just fine.
Yeah. No, this is.
I can ramble all day long if you want.
You're just warming up.
I
Okay.
can just ramble all day if you want. On the shore of the whole Arctic, you could go 10 miles from the ocean, 10 miles in. All those lakes that used to be there are all dry because when the permafrost melted, they all drained into the ocean. So the total coast of the north has dried up. And the rivers are drying up because the glaciers are disappearing that feed the rivers. Natural geological event. That's what it is.
More about, you talked about Inupiaq, the community,
Yes.
and its location in the
Yes.
last glacier, the last melting of the ice age.
Yeah, it was between 36 to 42,000 years ago.
Right. So
Yeah,
maybe we can talk about that time and then the elevation and what that means for us now.
And the elevation now is the sea level ever since, how old is your boy?
My oldest is 16.
Okay, before he was born, from the time before he was born, the sea level has risen over 4 feet. Just in your boy's lifetime. When you look at the coast, it's like that. And then if you look at it globally, look at the whole planet, all the farmland of the human race, 200 feet above sea level today, that is 82% of the world's farmland. When all the ice melts and the sea level goes up 254 feet, the human race is going to lose 82% of its farmland. What's going to happen? Right now, they're starting to move some of my smaller communities, and If you don't move them above 254 feet above sea level, you're going to have to move them again. And when the thawing starts, that time span is going to be accelerated to where before your head turns my color, you know, you're gonna see every one of the coastal villages will move. The country can't afford it. And as a community, we've moved to that high location. This is the 7th time we're moving. 36 to 42,000 years, like a clock. And welcome to the world. 200-year history does not even let you start seeing that. That's the life of the U.S.
I have a question. Can I ask you a question?
Oh, please, yes.
I've heard you say to environmentalists before when they say, what do you think of climate change? They say, "Get it off."
Yep, natural geological event.
Why do you say that? Who will end up surviving?
Because all the drilling on the land will go under the ocean. The exploration of the resources close to the coast will have to stop because the human race won't be able to feed itself. There's going to be a crash in the human population. Natural geological event. Because we know this is happening, we know what it does, we will be in a location where we can survive. I've got a cabin over 80 miles away from the coast. There's a lake to the east of me that's about a mile in diameter, kind of a round lake, over 80 feet deep. That lake is filled with freshwater prawns. So I will have my seafood. I'm not going to run out of that. I have it in lakes where those species have already adapted.
Do you feel that the beavers coming north is part of that adaptation, creating those freshwater wells with the dams?
They won't stay long because there's not going to be that much water for them to dam up to make their homes. They'll pretty much stay on the south side. And look at our dollar, our country's national debt. It doesn't have much time left. And then when the dollar crashes, then I don't have to worry about my environment being damaged or destroyed. You need money to do anything in your society. Mine don't. Mine just need to know how to make my hunting gear. My girls do all my hunting for me now. I've got 5 daughters. If I need caribou, they will go out and go get it for me. If I want some seal meat, they'll go out and go get it. They bring me shares of whale meat when they go whaling or help cut up whales. That's what my girls do. So I will survive. So will my kids and their families. It's that simple.